It's crunch time. Hello everybody, I'm Brett Hall. Today on Team Perspective 2 News, if you haven't filled out your FAFSA yet, we'll talk to you about why it's time to do so.
I'm Julia Griffin. Meet an amazing young athlete and see the astonishing track and field feat she's accomplished.
Love, sex, and relationships? I'm Chantel Gaskin. Today we discuss the importance of a healthy relationship. Team Perspective 2 News starts now.
Good morning and welcome to Team Perspective 2 News. I'm Bahari Jabari.
And I'm AJ Pfeiffer. Well, it's February 26th and the FAFSA is due in 3 days. Teen Perspective's Brett Hall explains that although this document is not a must for going to college, it is a big help for covering those costs.
Thanks, AJ. The FAFSA is a free application that can provide federal aid for future and current college students through grants, waivers, and loans. However, to get the free money, you must put in the time.
Well, it's kind of intimidating. It's like filling out your own tax return.
That's Lynn Lee, the Director of Financial Aid at Harford Community College. On February 5th, 2011, her department hosted its annual You Can Afford College event, in which more than 30 volunteers from around the state met with students and their families to help them complete their FAFSA.
We got like one-on-one help. Well, need on one-on-one, but if you had a question, they would come over and help you, because it was kind of confusing because my parents hadn't done it before, so I was the first one.
That's Dave Brooks, a senior at Patterson Mill High School in Bel Air. He and his family found the workshop very beneficial.
I'm a little more in the clear than I was before. There's obviously going to be some fuzzy questions, but for the most part, they cleared a lot of it up for me.
And if you are watching this right now and haven't filled out the FAFSA, there is one important thing.
The Maryland deadline is March 1st, so even if you fill out your FAFSA and you just put in incorrect numbers because you don't have the information available right now, get it in, because at that point it is in, and then you can go back later on and make corrections to that FAFSA using your PIN number, which is your electronic signature number.
And make sure you keep that PIN and all other important information relating to your FAFSA, because if you plan on going to college for more than 1 year, you are going to have to do it again.
Once you've done your initial FAFSA, when you go in next year to apply for the 12-13 aid year, you will be doing what's called a FAFSA renewal, and much of the information is going to be pre-printed. You'll just need to update your income information and change anything that might have changed.
Lee also said that if you have any questions about filling out your FAFSA, contact your local community college. They can help you out. To find the FAFSA, go to fafsa.ed.org. For Team Perspective 2 News, I'm Brett Hall.
College tuition costs an arm and a leg nowadays, but why? Some higher learning institutions, such as Cornell University, say that in order to give the best education, they need to hire the best employees, which can cost more. Some experts, such as Joel Neroff, believe that a higher price makes applicants think they're receiving a better education. The annual war with senioritis for high school seniors is in effect. 12th graders are well into the second semester. Some have received acceptance letters from colleges and have begun to enter a senior slump. So here are a few ways for seniors to avoid becoming a victim of senioritis. Maintain a challenging course load. Stay active in extracurricular activities. Create rewards for yourself. Create schedules and be sure to sustain good grades, because even though a college has accepted a student, they can still revoke their application.
Let's face it, college is expensive. Yes, there are scholarships and there are student loans that you'll be paying back until you're 40. But cutting down on the classes you take now can make a huge difference later on. Next year, consider taking a few advanced placement or international baccalaureate classes. Classes like these require a certain GPA, and you have to pass the exams to earn the credits. So check with your guidance counselor to make sure they're right for you. If neither AP or IB is available at your school, invest in classes offered to high school students at a community college like BCCC, or look into free online courses offered to high schoolers. You'll be saving money, preparing yourself, and you could graduate from college early. Give yourself some credit. You deserve it. The clock is ticking for those who are taking the SAT this March. We have a few last-minute preparation tips. Number 1, Familiarize yourself with the directions ahead of time. 2. Review prefixes and roots instead of vocabulary terms. You can also visit sat.collegeboard.com to look at 3. Sample questions, 4. The test day checklist, and 5. The test day simulator.
More than 1,000 children are cared for by the Maryland foster care system. But have you ever wondered what happens to them when they turn 18? Or how they afford college? Places like the Maryland Foster Youth Resource Center help students receive funding and counseling. Administrators encourage students to take advantage of educational opportunities that help students like Carlton Funville. He entered foster care when he was 12 and says education was the gateway out.
Without their support to fund my education, some supports with the services that I needed at that time, I would not have had the desires, or even, I wouldn't even have thought about going to college.
Programs like the Maryland Tuition Waiver help students like Carlton can attend a 2- or 4-year Maryland Public University.
Created in 1926 by Dr. Carter G. Woodson, Negro History Week sought to acknowledge and celebrate the accomplishments of African Americans. Teen Perspective's Nia Frazier has more.
Now, 8.5 decades and a civil rights movement later, does Black History Month still have the same relevance? Here's that answer according to some local students.
I have a dream.
This is the image that comes to many minds when thinking about Black History Month. Dr. King on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial delivering his I Have a Dream speech. Many people believe that this dream came to be realized in 2008 with the election of President Barack Obama.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
So, 85 years after its creation, during which African Americans have come from the back of the bus to the Oval Office, is Black History Month still necessary? When we asked the question to local students, they had a lot to say.
I think it's a good idea because a lot of times Black people don't always get recognized for all the effects they have.
People need to know how far African Americans have come through this long period of time and how so much has advanced through that period of time.
They shared with us some of their favorite Black history figures.
Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, because she stood up for herself. I like Bob Marley.
And while the names that they gave were varying, they held one belief in common: that Black History Month is still relevant today.
We definitely need it, because if we don't recognize our history, how do we know why we live the way we do today? I think we definitely need it.
While Black History Month may end on the 28th, Black history continues to be made every day. Celebrate it. For Teen Perspective 2 News, I'm Nia Frazier.
Coming up next on Teen Perspective, one local teen is literally leaping a little further than anyone else. What she's done that has her jumping ahead of the competition.
Then summer's coming. Do you have a job yet? We talked to one teen about his amazing experience at City Hall.
And see how one website is helping teens make their own decisions, here on Teen Perspective.
Founded in 1865, Bowie State University is the oldest historically Black college in Maryland. Bowie's 5,500 students come from diverse academic and ethnic backgrounds. The university provides an affordable education to undergraduate and graduate students. Bowie State is also home to one of the world's most powerful supercomputers and partners with NASA to operate the Satellite Operations Center on its campus.
Welcome back. Making money is one thing that every teen wants to put on their agenda, but figuring out where to work can be pretty difficult.
Teen Perspective 2 News reporter Stuart Beckham knows one place that has all the answers.
YouthWorks is a summer job program that gives Baltimore City teens the opportunity to make money and to learn to operate in the real world.
Tyron Epps is a sophomore at Baltimore City College High School. In the summer, he worked as an intern at City Hall. Tyron worked on office projects. Some were so involved, it took him all summer to finish.
The first thing he had me doing was travel request forms, which is forms you fill out to help people in City Hall, travel around, to promote Baltimore City and everything, and that was really tough.
Applying is not easy, but Tyron says it was worth the trouble.
It was a really long process. Like, you had to sign all these papers, but in the end, I'm just glad that I filled them out because I really enjoyed it down here.
Tyron was surrounded by supervisors who made the environment comfortable.
He's very sarcastic and funny too, but the first day I came in, we were like really nervous because we didn't know what we were going to do, and he walked in like, "Do you have your helmet and steel-toe shoes?" And we're just looking like, "What?" And I actually got a chance to meet the council president, and he's very funny too.
His experiences at work even helped him at school.
Yes, because I wasn't very much of a good typer, so I had to use the computer mostly while I was in there, and at City, you know, they have you type up essays and everything, so computer skills, like learning new programs and everything, really helped me in school.
And don't forget the paycheck.
Young people are paid a minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. They'll be working 25 hours a week this year for 6 weeks. The first pay period, the young people will have to work 4 weeks to get their first check. Then thereafter, every 2 weeks.
The mayor is giving out 10 of her Skybox tickets to the 2011 Ravens vs. Steelers game. To enter, you must buy raffle tickets and hopefully get picked to win. For more information about the raffle, go to BaltimorePayback2011.com. And for more information on how and where to apply for YouthWorks, go to oedworks.com and click on YouthWorks.
Look out, Maryland. Team Perspective's Valerie Timms has her license. She's got the scoop on all things driving.
Thanks, Bahari. Driving may seem like it's all fun and games, but it's no laughing matter. Every time you get behind the wheel, you put your life and the lives of others in danger. Buckle up and come along as we go through a crash course on driving. It's the biggest thing to happen to you since getting your first cell phone. That's right, getting your driver's license. There's no better feeling than the sweet freedom of you in the open road. But there are many steps to take before you can get behind the wheel. Get your learner's permit at 15 and 9 months. Go to driver's education school. Get your 60 hours of driving practice. Finally, get your license after 9 months of having your permit. So, now you have your license and you need a car. Consider these from Forbes' list of best cars for new drivers. Did you know 80% of all crashes are caused by distracted driving? The #1 distractor for teens is texting. Cell phone users are 4 times more likely to crash than non-distracted drivers and 6 times more likely to crash than drunk drivers. These are just some of the reasons why it's illegal to text and drive. Put down the phones. No text is worth your life. So now you have a license and a car, and you think you're free, right? Think again. A new smartphone app can help your parents keep a close eye on you while you're driving. The Safety Information and Protection app, or SIPS, alerts parents via text message when you speed, text, or go out of bounds. The app is only available on the Android market and must be downloaded to both your cell phone and your parent's cell phone. For more information, please visit mva.maryland.gov or visit abc2news.com. Whether you're just starting the process to get your license or you already have it, be sure to buckle up and drive safe. For Teen Perspective 2 News, I'm Valerie Timms.
Jessica Caldwell is a track runner and jumper from McDonough School. As Teen Perspective's Julia Griffin tells us, she recently leapt to #1 in the nation with the 40-foot jump.
Thanks, AJ. Jess is more than just a track champion. She is academically focused and an excellent team player, and most of all, a leader on the team and in the community.
When you first meet Jessica, you don't realize you're meeting a star. An energetic, excited teenager, Jess has none of the vanity that one would expect from someone so talented. She started running in a rec league when she was 6, and even after 11 years, she still loves track and field.
I like training for it and then seeing the outcome at track meets. I enjoy the people involved in track. Everyone in track is just so warm and bubbly, and it's kind of just, it's like a stress reliever when you go to practices as well as track meets.
At the IAAM Championships earlier this month, Jessica had an astonishing accomplishment in the triple jump.
All of a sudden, I My very, very last jump, I had 4 jumps total. And on my very, very last jump, I just jumped. I heard him say 4. I'm like, 4? And then I said, what did you say? And he said, 40 feet. I said, oh my goodness. I was just so shocked. And I was just jumping up and down. I was like, I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it.
And she's more than just an awesome athlete.
First and foremost, she makes the job of coaching very easy. You know, that's she's one of those coaches' dream, you know, to work with. Jessica is a great leader, you know, with a team person.
With such success and character, one can't help but wonder how she's so motivated.
I would probably say the people around me, they're my inspiration.
Well, she's no longer number 1. She has an exciting spring season ahead of her. And the best news, she's only a junior and has an entire year more.
Coming up on Teen Perspective 2 News, recent events overseas are changing lives here at home. Up next, we meet an Egyptian teenager now living in America who gives us her view on Egypt's revolution.
Have you ever heard of Love180.com? It's a way for teenagers to deal with today's peer pressure. An interview with the creators shortly.
In 1900, Colored High School was founded to prepare African-American elementary teachers. In 1907, the school started a 2-year program for teaching, which eventually became known as Fannie Jackson Coppin Normal School, after the former slave and education pioneer. In 1938, the school became a 4-year institution, now known as Coppin State University. Today, Coppin has about 4,000 students.
Love wearing acrylic nails? Well, Mom may have been right when she said everything that looks good to you is not always good for you. Acrylic nails can be very dangerous if mistreated, and what you're about to see may be a little disturbing. If hit the wrong way, infection can set in, causing a fungus to grow. So the next time you think about using your nails as a tool, I'd think again.
Egypt's recent uprisings were widely known as the Youth Revolution, not just because so many youths participated in the turmoils, but because of their activities on Facebook and Twitter, which informed millions of people about the protests.
2011 will be a year remembered by Egyptians. It was the year they overthrew their president, Hosni Mubarak, who had been ruling for 30 consecutive years. After years of oppression, the people were tired of the legal and political issues that corrupted their government. The lack of free elections and freedom of speech, high unemployment rate, food price inflation, and low minimum wage encouraged thousands of people to gather in the cities of Egypt and protest against their unwanted government. The protest started on January 25, 2011, and 18 days later, on February 11th, Hosni Mubarak resigned from office. But the problems aren't over yet. It's just the beginning of a new regime.
Hello everyone. Today we have Cherry Abdu with us, who is an Egyptian American that has somewhat helped Hello everyone. Today we have Cherry Abdu with us, who is an Egyptian American that has somewhat helped the riots in Egypt and has contributed to the overthrow of former President Hosni Mubarak in Egypt. Hello Cherry, how are you?
Hi Bahari, I'm fine. How are you?
Good. So this youth revolution that happened in Egypt, it was really big and very effective. And one of the biggest parts was the usage of internet. So how would you describe that?
Well, one of the major means we used, or the Egyptian youth used, or actually all the youth used for communication was Facebook. There were like 1 trillion Facebook groups, and my favorite one was like a cyber protest where you just click attending to the event, but it was really a protest to see how big the group can get just in just to protest what happened. Like, you didn't have to go to D.C. or protest or anything. It was just a cyber protest, which was my favorite.
So, did you go to any of the protests in
I
DC?
didn't go to any of them, but there were like sometimes two a day, and they were day after day, and the protesters were really unwavering, and they really, really wanted this. And I think that the protesters here in America, they kind of drove the protesters in Egypt because of the unwavering support we gave them from here. But my sister went to a couple of them, and she said that they were really strong, and it was great. So.
And you had family in Egypt, right? So what did they go through?
Well, my family lives in Alexandria, and that's a huge city in Egypt, and a lot of protests were going on there. And my family actually, we call them every day, but I think the fourth or fifth day they were scared to go out because of the mobs and stuff, and they were kind of running out of food, and everyone was kind of going into everyone was freaking out because they didn't know how long it was going to go, because they didn't know how stubborn the government was. So it was difficult for them.
So did you communicate to them through Facebook or Twitter?
No, I didn't, because a couple of days before the protests, after they started and before they ended, the internet was shut down and the phone lines kind of didn't work, so it was difficult to reach them.
So now that President Mubarak is gone, what do you think will happen?
I think that since the youth got what they want, well, everyone really wanted this, but the youth, the young generation now, since they got what they wanted, they feel empowered, so they feel that they can do anything they want and shape the country in any way they want to shape it, and I think that's good because so many youth nowadays, they study and go to school, they want to become doctors and lawyers and engineers, and they want to do great things, but the government was holding them back. So now that they're free of that government, they can do great things.
So do you know of any activity that the youths are doing now for
Well,
the
I'm
new
not
regime?
I'm not really sure what they're doing, but I heard about after the protests were over and after President Mubarak stepped down, they in Tahrir Square, where the major protests were going on, the youth actually cleaned up after the protests. So that just shows the positive energy they're giving off and how excited they are about it, the whole thing.
All right, thank you, Cherry. And I'm Bahari Jabari for Team Perspective 2 News.
Next on Team Perspective, see what some teens are doing on the internet to reduce peer pressure. We'll be right back.
In 1867, Baltimore's Methodist Episcopal Church founded a college to train the ministry. The school eventually taught men and women to become teachers. It was renamed Morgan State University to honor the Reverend Littleton Morgan. Andrew Carnegie donated $50,000 to help improve the school. And in 1939, Maryland bought Morgan as a way to provide more opportunities to African Americans.
Are you having relationship issues? Have you ever felt pressured about sex? Then this story is for you. Chantel Gaskin joins us with more on self-esteem and abstinence.
Peer pressure can be a hard thing to deal with. Most teens feel that in order to be cool, they have to do the same thing everyone else is doing. Many teens feel pressured about dating and sex. Eric Dressel created Love180.com to show teens that practicing abstinence and having a healthy relationship is the way to go.
You can't put a condom on over our hearts. We chose the name Love 180 because we feel that a lot of people are being influenced by the culture, especially the media culture often, in a negative direction.
The website breaks down the differences in peer pressure that girls and boys are facing.
I think that girls experience some very different pressures than guys do. I think of my message as I try to think of it as relationship common sense that maybe isn't so common anymore.
While abstinence may be a hard decision for some young people, Joshua Rash made the decision to stick with it.
Why did I decide to do this? Why am I practicing abstinence? Why am I not having sex? It's a big deal. It's a good question. I just remember deciding, I was like, I think I'm going to wait. Didn't tell anybody. No way. Didn't tell anybody. In fact, I lied in high school and told people I was having sex. I decided I was just going to take this greatest gift of who I was and invest it into my future love.
Joshua now works with Eric, visiting schools to talk about abstinence and love.
My definition of real love, obviously there's if you're talking romantic love, relational intimacy. There's a mutual admiration and respect, obviously attraction that includes physical but is not limited to physical.
To find out more about dating and abstinence, visit abc2news.com/teen media. For Teen Perspective News, I'm Chantel Gaskin.
Well, that's it for this edition of Teen Perspective 2 News. Be sure to tune in to our next show on March 26th at 11 a.m.